second? I think.
Hello, my name is Sam Hull, and we're on our second and I think last video group project. I'm Sam Hull.
I'm Kiana Scott.
I'm
Go.
Peyton Riker.
And I'm Sam.
Today we're going to be talking about chapter 4.
24, chapter 24, the more we get together on social media, the worse off we'll be, and the worse off we'll make our friends, by Jonathan Reed Suravel.
Yes.
And does anyone would like to start us off?
I'll start. I just wanted to explain the argument that the author stated, which was that all of us should get off social media entirely because social media makes our lives and our friends' lives worse. The more connected we are, the sadder, less competent, and less accomplished we'll be.
Hmm.
Do you
Oh,
guys agree, like, with his argument there? Like, what do you guys think?
Personally, I do actually. It could be because I'm not big on social media. Like I don't have an Instagram or a Twitter or a Facebook, something like that, because I don't feel the need to constantly be updated or be sharing things. Like I don't know, like, you know, with all respect, like I don't really care that my friend went on a hike last week. Like, okay, that's cool for her, but like, why do I need to know that? Like, if I'm friends with her and yeah, let's meet up to lunch and catch up, and she says, oh, I went on a hike last week. All right, oh, that's awesome. Where'd you go? But I feel like the constant need to share things that have no value is really turning the tide, I think, because it's like, I don't know, no one really posts important stuff on social media that it must be known by, you know, everyone else. So that's why I don't have social media, at least. So I agree with them, where like I can totally see the toxicity and how it can make people's self-image worse. So I definitely agree with them personally.
Yeah, I mean, like social media doesn't really add any value to friendships. It like actually harms friendships in a way because you're constantly comparing yourself to everyone. So then you get jealous of people. And then, as like another point the author makes, is that it reduces our attention span. Like not just attention span, but just like attention in general, which just limits our ability to do various other things in life. So instead of spending time making skills, we're just checking the newsfeed.
And I'm sure it happens with everyone, but especially to women. I'm talking to you, Kiana, and to Peyton. What are your views on like you know, like I don't know about you, but like my old girlfriend, when we were dating, she used to compare herself a lot to like these Instagram models and stuff, and they use Photoshop a lot. So it's like you can't compare yourself to them. Like it's the right angle, the right lighting, you know, all that stuff, and you know, you're comparing yourself to them. So I don't know how it is from like, I know how it is from boys' side, but I don't know how it is from like a woman's side of view on that. I just want to hear your mentions on that. I'm curious.
I think that comparison is definitely like a huge thing. Like I try not to do it much, but I know like some of my friends do. They'll like send me a picture of like a really pretty girl and they'll be like, "Why don't I look like this?" And I'm like, "Well, she's a model and has like tons of money where she can probably afford to get stuff done and have like her own trainer and everything."
Yeah, and they taunt a lot of like fad diets, like, you know, like I think they had like one's like a green tea or something like that. It's like if tea could make you skinny, people would have figured that out whiles ago. So it's like, you know, it's more of like they sell stuff kind of thing, or thing to get them interested in it. But yeah, it definitely it can be harmful.
Yeah, I agree. I also try not to do it too. I don't really even post things on social media, but when I do, I don't use that Photoshop or none of that stuff. And I guess I can see, in a way, I do sometimes do it. Like when I see people working out and stuff like that, I'm like, why can't I look like that? Like I go to the gym and stuff too.
Yeah.
What the heck is going on, you know? So I do see the comparison, but I try not to do it. But I can see how it can like really affect our view towards ourselves, and it can hinder like the way we feel about ourselves, make us may feel a little bit depressed, like I want to look like that, but
I
I
also think
can't.
it stops self-growth. I think if once you're able to know your flaws and work on them as well, but also accept them, I think that's where you become a better person. When you're constantly having, these ripped people online, they're saying, "Oh, why aren't I ripped like that?" It's like it stops that self-growth.
Yeah,
Right.
I agreed with the author a little bit, but I think it really just depends on the person. I'm kind of like used to him where it's like I have social media, but I don't use it all the time. I mean, I would just look on Instagram for the memes and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think it really just depends on the person. And I think back to another chapter we read. It was chapter 23. I think it was called New Social Media and the Techno-Moral Virtues by Shannon Ballard. I think she does a good job because she talks about kind of the rich get richer theory when it comes to social media, where young people, especially that have good social skills and have good virtues, like the virtue of self-control, I think they can get benefits from social media. But I think younger people that are lacking those virtues can have a lot of the things happen that the author talks about in this chapter. So I think it really just depends on the person. And I think that certain virtues people need to have when it comes to social media, like self-control is the main one that I can think of.
Hmm. Yeah, it's all about thinking what you're going to post, like that double check. Um, I think that's true. I guess the benefit of social media would be, you stay in touch with people around that you can do it virtually anytime. And I can also see how that can be a disadvantage. I was just curious. While I was reading, I couldn't really think of anything. Did you guys think of any like advantages that could be beneficial towards this or no?
I mean, one thing kind of is like, I'm not saying social media is like always beneficial, but for example, like we use Snapchat to form this group, and like on in that group, we were strictly like talking about ethics and like trying to create this. So I
Yeah,
feel like
that's true.
kind of like Sam Lawrence said, it can depend because I know some people will just like watch TikTok for like 5 hours at a time, which will cause them to like procrastinate and everything. But the way like we were kind of using it, like we used it for communication in order for us to be able to create this and everything. I feel like that could be different, have like a positive effect.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, but I
I
think that
didn't
the
think about that.
author,
That's a really good point. Yeah, yeah.
I think
How else would
there
we
the
have done it?
author
Like,
might argue, I think there the author might argue that we could have just exchanged phone numbers and it would have been the exact same thing. So I don't think we were using like a lot of the aspects of social media that he was discussing, like the way we use social media, like to form our groups.
I think it's different though because he's like we can just use texting. Where I think most people now, like I'll say I use my messages app, but like I'll text friends or what on Snapchat instead of text messages. Any of you guys do that?
Right.
I
Yeah.
do
So
that.
I mean, it's like for us,
Mhm.
Snapchat is kind of texting for us. Like, oh, what's your snap? Is what you see instead of, oh, do you have enough? So it's like I think we've adapted where their text messages is our Snapchat, where it's like a regular communication piece where we can get into communicating with each other without the whole thing of the self-image, that type of thing. What do you think, Kyle?
I think it's good. Like, for example, I have this friend from elementary school that moved to New Jersey. So I don't see him but like every 3 years, but we're still able to keep in contact. So I think text messages wouldn't be the same because texting is not the same as FaceTiming. So if we didn't have that connection over social media, that relationship just wouldn't be possible in the first place.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, I wanted to touch back to something to what you guys were talking about earlier. And I just wanted to say that um, sometimes it's hard for people to let go of social media. Like one of the things that he talked about later on in the essay was that some people are unable to let go of social media due to pressures to keep up with social media, or they might have a job that requires them to use a certain amount of social media. So I wanted to touch back on that and say that I agree that I think it really does depend on the person, you know, and this does tie into with allowing us to easily communicate with people long distance, you know, like Kyle said, without that communication, it would be really hard. So
Yeah,
I
no, that's a really
and
good point. I like that a lot. Because like where I work for the Frederick Food Security Network, so when we did a plant sale this spring, we had to post it on our social medias, and that's what got us traffic. So I
right,
think there's definitely, I didn't even think of that. So there's so many benefits that, you know, you can't do a max text with everyone in Frederick, you know, saying,
yeah,
hey, there's a plant sale. So I think posting it on that Instagram and Facebook where it's a wide variety of people could see it, I think it created a whole new thing of networking.
yeah,
If you look at like LinkedIn, like a lot of people are getting, you know, jobs from there because it's easy. It makes the pathway easier between the employee and the employer.
right.